I'm going to talk about the most fundamental and universal idea in all of investment economic theory. And it involves two things that are related. It is the relationship between risk and return. And I'm not going to go the traditional mathematical route with their specific kind of mathematical definitions to explain this. I'm going to explain this using the examples of weight loss, right? Something that is a common goal for many people. And I'm going to start with this. Let's say you would like to lose 10 pounds and you're considering two different personal trainers. Talk to one personal trainer and he says, I've worked with 10 different clients and most of them, 7 of them actually, lost the 10 pounds that they were looking for within 3 months, working out once a week for 1 hour. You talk to the second personal trainer and he says, I've worked with 200 clients and most of them, 249, have lost the 10 pounds in 3 months working out once a week for 1 hour, right? So they're both kind of promising the same thing. 10 pounds is lost. Both require the same amount of input and effort, right? Same time frame. But with one of them, he or she has a more established track record of getting the result that you want. Neither of them is a sure thing, right? Neither of them has a 100% success rate. But one has gotten the result more frequently with more people than the other. Which are you probably going to choose, right? Most people, all else being equal, as was the case in this scenario, going to choose the second one, right? Because if you were to look overall at the chance that one of the clients did not meet the goal, did not lose the 10 pounds, that chance is lower with the second trainer that I described, right? So, as you are thinking about this unsure thing, right, you're not guaranteed the result, but you are more confident in the second one, both promising the same thing, you're going to choose the one that has the stronger track record, right? Because it is less risky, right? First one, 30% of the clients didn't meet the goal. The second one, that chance, that probability was less than 1%, right? I'm going to explain a different example now. Let's say, talk to one trainer. I'm going to get you to lose 10 pounds. Work with 10 people. 7 of them lost the 10 pounds. And if you want to work with me, over the course of us working together, it's going to be $500, right? Talk to a second trainer. He says, I'm going to get you to lose the 10 pounds. Worked with 10 clients. 7 of them got the weight loss that they wanted, the 10 pounds. But if you don't lose 10 pounds, I'm going to give you your money back. Who are you going to choose? You're going to choose the second trainer because that money back guarantee reduces the risk that you are taking, right? Both of them had the same probability, right? The same chance that you don't lose the 10 pounds in terms of looking at their past track record, But with the second trainer, that guarantee was a way of reducing the risk, right? And in looking at these two examples, hopefully it gives you a better idea of what the math would say, which is that risk is a measure of unpredictability, right? It's a measure of variation, the standard deviation of returns, right? Or variance of returns, like the degree to which you are unsure about the outcome you are going to get is the degree of risk associated with that choice, right? If you're going to pay the $500 and perhaps not get the goal, that is more risky than pay $500, but if you don't get what you want, you get your money back. And so the amount that you paid in the end is $0 wise, right? Now, shifting a little bit, another example. Talk to the trainer, work with 10 clients, 7 of them got the goal, but the goal that they wanted was to lose 10 pounds. Talk to another trainer, work with 10 clients, 7 of them got the goal, but the average loss with him, or the goal that he helped them reach, was a 5-pound loss, right? You got a lot of weight to lose, let's say for the sake of this example, not that it's the case in real life, but in this one, you're gonna choose the first trainer, right? The risk between these two is the same, but one offered a greater return, right? The return in this case being more weight loss. So, putting that together, like if the risk is the same, but the return of one investment is higher than the return of the other investment that someone's considering, the theory in economics would say that you choose the investment with the higher return. Now, another example. Let's say you talk to both trainers and one says, work with 10 people, 7 of them got the goal that they wanted, which was to lose 5 pounds. Talk to another trainer. He says, work with 10 people and five of them got the goal that they wanted, but those 5 that did get the goal, they actually lost 20 pounds, right? This scenario is a little bit harder to judge, right? And this kind of gets into the real meat of investing, right? Trying to figure out, without kind of being able to predict the future, what to do when there's a difference in risk and a difference in return, right? From what we've discussed, the example so far, if the risk is the same between two options, choose the option with the better return. Also, from what we've discussed, if the return is the same between two options, choose the option with the lower risk. The only way then that there's really a conflict is if the risk in one situation is different and is higher, and the return is also higher in that situation, right? If someone says, there's a 50% chance that you're going to lose 5 pounds, and the other trainer says, well, there's a 70% chance that you're going to lose 10 pounds, you're more sure of one option and the weight loss is greater, so you're probably going to choose that one, right? That's what the theory would say, that the rational Homo economists would choose that option, right? The rational thinker. So the real conflict kind of occurs when there's a difference between the risk and the return, right? When one has higher risk, but also a higher return with it. And this is kind of what the fundamental theory predicts and suggests, is that if you are going to take a higher risk option, as a rational thinker, you should only take a higher risk option if the return or the reward is also higher. Right? Now, the little caveat when it comes to real life and investing in stocks or other things is that you're kind of making these decisions without knowing the outcome ahead of time. Like I said, without being able to predict the future. So you're looking at past performance, past results, but if you ever looked at a company's annual report or stock report, or even the commercials, they'll say, past performance is not necessarily an indicator of future results, right? It may be the best guess you have about the results to come in the future, but life happens, things are unpredictable, and so it's not always the case that what's happened in the past lines up with what is going to happen in the future. So you're going to have to kind of think of ways to assess risk and assess return. And sure, some of those ways may involve looking back at past performance, but the decisions are going to be driven by the interaction between risk and return. Now, as I get into more videos, I am going to talk more about specific types of risk that apply to stocks and companies, right? Because there are specific types, and it gets more in depth than just kind of this general overview. But I wanted to provide this introduction to just touch on these concepts and explain it in a way that is not just stock return and dividends and standard deviations, etc., right? Like, not just those things, right? I even wanted to use the examples of gyms and weight loss and personal trainers to even highlight this book, right? Alex Hormozi's $100 million offers, right? In there, particularly in the section about guarantees, he talks about reducing risk in the offers that you make, right? And the reason I bring that up is to, one, point out that I'm not the only person that makes good content, and happy to point you in the direction of other people's good content, because I want you to be successful. Doesn't have to be for me. There are others who do good stuff as well, and if you end up getting help from them, I'm happy for you, right? The other thing is that this concept of risk and return is not just limited to investing, right? It's not just limited to stocks. It is a concept that is applicable, right, throughout our lives. That's why I wanted to, and in business in general. And so that's why I wanted to point it out here in this video, is that if you learn this stuff and get it down, right, it helps you in a number of areas, right? If you understand it and know it intuitively, it helps you in a number of areas, right? It helps you make better sense of the world. So, like I said, more to come on risk, specifically as it relates to stocks. But with that, I want to just give you the brief primer on risk and return. Hopefully, these examples help illuminate a little bit and also kind of point out that once you actually get into it with thinking about the future and what may happen, right, you may be dealing with perceived risk and perceived return. And then you're going to have to also think about what happens if and when the return that you expected is not there, or the risk that you anticipated is actually quite different than the risk that you experience. So, doing a little inception, planting those thoughts in your head, but I wish you well. I hope you take care and I love you.